about 11 o'clock now, and as people are coming in, I wanted to welcome you to this ELEA Zoom call. My name is Pastor Larry Becker. I am known mostly for this group as
joined the meeting.
I'm known mostly as Shirley Becker's husband. So that's who I am. You probably have seen me bopping around various ELEA events and conventions. One thing that I've done for ELEA for quite some time is do some of their video work, and that's kind of why I'm here. Though video really isn't the issue as I think about what our main topic is here. Video is one of the ways that these things can be accomplished, but the quality of video, I want to make sure people understand, isn't the primary issue. The primary issue is relationships, making connections with people. I heard just recently kind of a phrase that stuck in my head, relationships, not quality, connections, but not quality is the issue. So even if you don't have the best equipment, even if you don't have the most up-to-date things, just so it's okay, that's what's important. So thinking about making these kind of virtual tour videos, how many of you have seen the video that was just posted from Grace Lutheran in River Forest? Anybody see that? Corey said she put a link on it on their page under the COVID-19 section. That is so good that basically just watch what they're doing, and it's such a great example of what to do just to make connections. They have a mix of video from talking about Trinity's video there. And I think I see Jordan on here, who was a part of making it. Hi, Jordan, welcome. But that video is a great mix of pre-done content, so pre-COVID-19 stuff, and then currently showing what things are now, and giving a sense of what people can hope for as they consider becoming a part of that in this next year. That I am in awe, Jordan, of that. So just want to lift you up for that effort. So chime in anytime. But
okay.
And I'm so glad to see you on the video here. My expertise is developing video systems and shooting and editing video, and all of that's great, but I'm seeing that that's not really what people need right now. We just need to keep connections with our people. The quality that you guys did, some of the video was a little jumpy. Nobody cares. You made the connection, you made the effort, and you guys put together such a great piece of work there. I imagine that was a lot of work to do, but holy cow.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Shirley made me watch it this morning. My wife is Shirley Becker. So I'm Shirley's husband as far as ELEA is concerned. But can you talk a little bit about how that was done and what you were trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am new to this group. I just, Bill Kane, my principal that we work with, just happened to send this to me, but I've been in my role about 6 weeks. So I'm still pretty new, figuring things out. I actually started the day that school closed. But as far as the video goes, with the webinar that we did, I was able to, so we just filmed the school. We just walked around with actually with an iPad, and just filmed the school, using what we had available. And then I was able to kind of stitch that together with iMovie. So again, just something that I had on hand to create that first video. And then we, just had some discussion with some parent panelists that we had to participate, which I think was probably the strongest piece of our open house. Really was just hearing from our parents. And then, we wrapped it up with a professionally filmed video that we had made that just featured some of our alumni. So just a couple of things put together, but again, like you said, just using what we had available really, to film that initial video.
Thanks to you, I'm going to be hiring a enrollment and marketing director very soon. Because I've been trying to do this on my own and trying to piecemeal stuff together, and I just need somebody dedicated to work on that. I actually was in process of putting together some nicely filmed videos promoting our school. I finally talked them into that. I've been in this call about 1.5 years. And I said, you happen to have a pastor here who does this kind of thing. I just filmed a bunch of stuff yesterday for Lutheran Social Services. It's kind of what I do in addition to my normal work. But I finally talked him into letting me shoot some videos, and halfway through it, everything started to fall apart. So I've got a bunch of stuff I've filmed I haven't even put together yet into a video. The editing is what really messes people up. Can you talk, Jordan, a little bit about how the video was put together? What tools did you use through Zoom? It looked like mostly.
Yeah, so for the actual video recording, of the school that we did, I just used iMovie. And I actually used my cell phone because I was having some, if you have a Mac, you can get that or other similar, free editing software on Macs. There's a ton available. I just happened to, that was the quickest thing that I was able to use was just iMovie on my phone. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was pretty intuitive. Again, like you said, there are things I would change if I had it to do it again or had, more time to kind of work on that. But yeah, really, I just used iMovie for that. And then the webinar itself, we did use Zoom, but we used Zoom Webinar as opposed to the Zoom regular platform. So that it's a little different, but I thought that worked nicely for our presentation.
Yeah, I'm like most people here, I'm fairly new to Zoom. I've joined Zoom calls off and on for a couple of years, but I've never had an account. And just actually, I've got a pretty good case of Zoom fatigue right now. I was on about 2.5 hours of Zoom calls last night. I've got this one and another one going on later today, and probably 3 or 4 more this week. It's just draining on a person. But the Zoom webinar I've not really explored yet. That's a separate product, a separate subscription, or is it a part of the main thing?
Yeah, so it is a separate, it's an additional subscription. So we had to purchase that, and we were able to do it, I think, on a month-by-month basis. So, we knew we were going to need it for that. We're also looking at doing an early childhood specific tour or virtual open house. So, we're going to get a little bit of use out of it. I'm hoping this pandemic doesn't continue forever and we won't need it forever, but it took a little bit of practice. I practiced a few times to make sure I understood the back end of things, but it was relatively easy to figure out if you know Zoom already.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, I will be looking into that as well shortly. So you're new in that position of enrollment and marketing?
Yes, yeah, I started the day school closed. So I think it's been about 7 weeks now.
Wow. So you're basically brought on to help them deal with this whole situation. That's pretty forward thinking.
Yeah, I guess so.
Some of us we were hoping it wasn't going to go on much longer, but I just had a sense that it was going to get ugly and stay ugly for a while. But this is all putting a spotlight for many of us on how important marketing and outreach is. Because we all of our normal means of connecting with people, doing actual live tours, all of that is gone. And this is for our preschool, this would have been prime enrollment time and getting people involved. For the day school, we're a little bit past our enrollment time, but enrollment is actually okay. It's not as good as I worried it was, but it's still a bit down.
Jordan, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
So when I went to your website and you needed to like view it, and then it took me to information sheet.
yes.
So I tried responding and saying that I was an administrator to watch it, but how many people are you finding are actually going through that step to doing that?
I think we've had about, so total, including the people that watched it live, I think we've had about 10 or 11.
Okay.
So which is, I think, okay. And it's good because that was the other feature of using Zoom Webinar, is that that's one of the benefits of using Zoom Webinar as opposed to just regular Zoom, is that it automatically recorded it for us. And then it requires that, I set it up so that it required the registration link, or that registration page that people have been filling out. And then you can just fill it out, and I then have your contact information to follow up with you. And then it automatically lets you see the video. So I don't have to do any manual work. It's just all forwarded there to you.
Yeah, I found out this morning and had seen that you asked that people put in that they were an administrator so that you don't have to follow up with them. So I did that, and then it threw me back into the registration page again, and then it let me do the video. So
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I never got to the video, so I don't know.
Okay.
I filled it out.
So thank you actually for letting me know that that's an issue, because it should just be taking you there automatically. So I'll definitely look into that. I'm not really sure why it's.
Yeah, I never got to see it, unfortunately. I was.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure to look into that. I'm sorry about that, but thank you for letting me know, because I obviously want like you guys to be able to see it, but also want our parents to be able to see it too.
Okay.
okay, I see Shirley and others are asking about where the website is. Corey said she put a link to that in the ELEA page under the COVID-19 resources, so you can look there and find it. Yeah, the second time I filled out the registration stuff, it asked me to click here to show that I wasn't a robot, which I always have to think twice about for some reason. But so the first time it didn't ask me that, the second time did. So I'm not sure if that's just a glitch or.
I go into church every
I got to it.
10 days or so to take my work in and bring more work home.
Do you think that by having people fill that out, it's great to get their information, but do you think you're going to lose some prospective people that would just like to have a tour before they make any commitment?
I would be more, I don't know. I feel like I would be more concerned about not knowing who is watching than, now if there's issues with it, then obviously that's a concern for me, that people aren't able to just, fill out a few boxes and then submit it. But I would like to have their information so I can follow up with them. Because typically, even before we do tours, we are collecting some sort of basic information, and then
Right.
just happen to show up.
Okay.
That I wondered about that too, but actually, we'd do the same thing if they called in. We'd ask for their basic information and then we'd line up a tour. This is actually less threatening, and you do have a place in there where they can make comments and say, well, I'm just thinking about this, don't bother calling or whatever. So I thought that was pretty good. As long as you've got somebody that actually does the follow-up with the names, that's just critical. I've got some people that are supposed to do that along with 15 other parts of their job description, and I'm really impatient with that. and I'm about to strip that all out and make that a whole new position. So Jordan, you've inspired me, and I am on a warpath now on this, just to make sure that I get this done.
Hi, Lawrence. My name is Beth. I'm confused. I just don't know the website to look at for the video. I'm new to this. It's my first time actually calling in. So I run a school in Pennsylvania, and I don't have the website to view the virtual tours. I'd like to create one of those. Could you specify that?
I can give it to you. It's graceriverforest.org. And you'll have to jump through a few hoops to get to the exact, but if you go to our admission, if you go to the school and then click on the admissions tab, you should be able to get access it through there.
Thanks, Jordan. But he was referring to some ELEA website, or
ELEA National.org is the ELEA's webpage.
ELEA National.
Yes.
.org.
.org.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And that other one, Grace River Forest. Forest with one R, one S.
Yes.
.org.
Yes.
That's your specific school.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry for butting in.
No, perfect. And anybody, please feel free to butt in as you need to. But when my wife had me look at your video, that honestly changed the whole direction I was going to take this in. I was concerned that people would get hung up on equipment and technique and making a polished thing. And the important thing is to just do it. Just get it done. Just make those connections with people. Every personal connection that we make with people right now, every contact is so important. We did something at my church, Westchester Lutheran here in California, that may seem a bit draconian, a little bit like an overreaction, but our director was retiring during what I knew the shutdown time would be. The management of our preschool had just collapsed on us, and I decided to simply close it. So end of March, our preschool completely closed down, laid everybody off, and now we're looking at how to open again. And I bet some of the questions that we're trying to figure out are similar to what that you all are dealing with. How do we can't just do a hard full open that would probably kill us all. So we're looking at a soft opening, and then maybe in July and late June or July, and then a harder opening, full opening in late August and early September. We hope that those dates are even possible at this point. Yesterday, I was very hopeful. In California here, they're saying, well, mid-May, we're going to start letting things open up. But then you hear the descriptions of when things start happening, and I can't see it. I just can't see that happening mid-May, maybe mid-June. So what are some of the things that you all are concerned about as far as enrollment? Do you think you've lost all your former kids? Do you have hopes of getting them back? You think you have to get a whole new audience? What do you think?
I was just gonna jump in, and I feel we're a 9-month preschool. We're off in the summer. So from that perspective, I'm looking forward to fall starting in, and we've got quite a few kids enrolled for fall. We also work collaboratively with our school district. So I'm not exactly sure if that will affect us this fall because of the pandemic. But I think one of my questions is, are we going to be able to maintain the same numbers, and will parents feel comfortable coming back? So one of my questions for you, Jordan, in your video, did you go on to say anything about things that you're doing or taking into effect because of the pandemic? Are you talking about like smaller class sizes or distancing, or do people want to know that, or is that premature? I don't know.
We don't talk about it in that particular video, but I have started seeing questions about that from parents for next year. So it'll definitely, we didn't address it in the webinar, but I think we're not alone in that, kind of train of thought.
Yeah, CDC is just coming out this week. I think just yesterday, there was a webinar that I got a synopsis of that has some little more specific guidance on how to open a school, you maybe want to keep kids together in a cohort in the same grade or the same class. You don't want a lot of intermixing of the classes. Limited, if any, use of playground equipment, for example. Lots of discussion about maintaining the cleanliness of the place. It's not just have the cleaning crew come in at the end of the day. This is an ongoing kind of a thing where we have to keep the place clean and wiped down just continually throughout the day. It's going to be a whole new way of thinking about running the school for a while. And the other question that some of us has, okay, even if the thing opens up and we're allowed to start having school, they're completely sure there's going to be at least a second wave of this, where there's going to be some level of shutdown again, or some level of social distancing and maybe limited contacts again. That's one of the reasons we're, as our church and school, we're planning on continuing to do the electronic connections with people, not just having the, oh, thank goodness we made it through this, we're all done now with video and everything. You look behind me, I've got the beginnings of a complete video system to be set up in my church that I'm kind of programming in my spare time here to make sure that we can do that. Right now in my church, I've got three of my personal video cameras, and we're live streaming the entire service from beginning to end, and I'm bringing in recordings of the choir and so on. We're going to keep having to do that kind of thing for people who are unwilling or really maybe shouldn't come out after this. We're going to have a lot of people who are very sensitive to illness, and that I worry about a lot. I think it's going to change how we have to think about things going forward for quite some time. I would encourage people to look at Jordan's church's video and think about how can you put something like that online for people to see, because they're going to be hesitant about coming in to have live interviews. I'm thinking about how we do this, and really Zoom is the best we can do.
I have a question. I went on to the website and was quickly looking at the video, Jordan, and noticed that it was for, is that high school age?
Well, actually we have, we're PK, so we're 3-year-old through 8th grade.
Oh, 3 through 8th. Okay. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah.
But
alumni might have been.
Okay. Yeah, I think when we quickly jumped into gear, yes, we created Zoom meetings and got, our teachers online and doing, little 15 or 30-minute sessions for our youngest friends. And that's kind of a hit and miss as far as families, trying to join in or not join in. But one thing that we've been very, very successful with is our chapel. We definitely got chapel online once a week, which then turned into a children's sermon every Sunday. And now those sermons are definitely reaching a wider band of people, which is amazing. But really what I'm more worried about is the way we do come back. We're still open, and we have 10 families, 10 children. So it's not like it's, huge. And we are starting to see a trickle of people coming back, but the reality is people are scared. and parents are very unsure of how to approach coming back. So where I run into this problem is, we're a family, we say we're here for the community, and these families that have left us, of course I want to welcome them back and with open arms when they're ready to come back. But the fact of the matter is I have to fill my spots too. So if there are other people that are willing to take those spots, how do I play that game? Um, they Families have been so kind to, we have a vacation clause, an extended vacation clause in our handbook, and so that's kind of what they've been using to hold their child's spot, which is just 25% of the tuition. So we're talking, not very much. And so with that, if you've been paying that, then I guess you have, your foot in the door because your spot's been held. But is anybody experiencing like how they plan on welcoming their families back, or are you guys worried about that?
Scared to death. I know First Lutheran in Torrance, California, they're doing a 10% tuition hold that guarantees a spot because they're really, really targeting primarily their former families because they had basically a waiting list. They were full all the time. Candace, can you talk a little bit about, since you're open now, the cleaning routines and anything different that you're doing? Because there aren't that many that are open.
Yeah, we when before April 1st, and everything was kind of coming down to a crash, we had prematurely closed for 2 weeks, or actually a week and a half. And the final end of the first week, my teachers were still on board, but we were spring cleaning. We were washing walls, we were disinfecting toys, our playground, every inch of our school. And then after that, I had our cleaning crew come in and do a deep clean. And then that second week, I just told my teachers to go home and get their family in order and, do what they needed to do. And then we reopened April 1st to essential workers only. And the way that I did that was completely changed protocol. Normally the parents came in, signed their children in a book, dropped their child off either on the playground or in their classroom, and we closed all doors and only staff are allowed inside. And so now we have curbside drop off and pickup. Instead of having a sign-in sheet for the month in their book, it's now a weekly basis, and every week they sign off on our new sickness policy, which is basically zero tolerance. And although it says not to ask for a doctor's note if they get sent home sick, I left it in as we ask for a doctor's note to return, and a minimum of 72 hours. And they are also signing off that they are one of the 16 sectors of essential workers, because that is still our mandate right now, that we are only open for that here in California. So they sign off that they are one of those essential workers. And just basic information, knowing that if they are called, that they need to come and pick up their child right away, and so on. So that sign-in sheet is now a weekly thing, so that I am making sure to keep asking the questions. Has anybody in your family experienced COVID-19 and whatnot? Have you been exposed? And then once they sign their sign-in sheet, a temperature is taken. Of course, we are masked. I don't necessarily wear gloves because then I would be changing them out for every single child that came in, because cross-contamination is not something we definitely think about, but we need to think about, because it's great to put your gloves on, but if you're touching your cell phone and touching this and touching that and then taking your gloves off, and then it's not working as far as that's concerned. So better yet, I just don't put gloves on, and after I deal with a child, then I use my hand sanitizer or go wash my hands, and then I'm not wasting gloves. With that said, once their temperature is taken and their well check is done, then they are walked in by the person who does drop off and pick up, and we go in, we wash our hands with the kids. and then they are able to go into our classrooms. Even though we only have 10 kids, so technically we could have one group, we still split them up in two groups, our younger and our older. The smallest class size we can get and handle and manage, we do. I do have two teachers at home only working online, and so they're only at 10 hours a week, and then the rest of the staff has been brought from 40 hours down to 30 hours. So we reduced hours, but yet, and then they're also on a rotating schedule, and we shortened our work hours. We used to be open from 6:30 to 6 p.m. Right now, during pandemic, we are open from 7 to 5, and that is so that one teacher can be with that one group all day long. With the exception of your curbside teacher, which is always me, or my assistant director. And then we do every hour we have a little sign up sheet, kind of like when you go to a public restroom and it says, yes, this bathroom was cleaned at this time, and with the initial. Every hour we have an initial now that we have wiped down, and we're not wiping down obviously the whole classroom, but high traffic areas, so the backs of the chairs, the tabletops, doorknobs, light switches, sinks, telephones, those kinds of things. We've gone to more of a tray style activity. So it's not, tabletop activities where anybody who wants to come and play plays. They're more individual setups, and that's so we can spray them down in between children. And a lot of outdoor play, lots and lots and lots of outdoor play. And then because we have them separated into group times, no two groups are on the playground at the same time. So wipe down every hour, and then yes, I liked what you said about contact is really, really important. Now everybody's on Zoom, or everybody's receiving emails. So we've actually laid off. I mean, we do also contact our parents versus email, but we actually take the day and take the time to just call everybody and just personally connect. Hey, how are you guys doing? Where are you at? Where are your thoughts at? And right now we are scheduled, and the parents know that we will be calling them May 16th. So because we know that a lot of feelings or maybe opinions or decisions will change after we hear exactly what the next phase of our shelter in place order is. Other than that, we do wear masks. However, once we're inside and we're in that sterilized area that we have, no, I don't make my staff wear their masks at all time. It's very uncomfortable. It is just, it's hard, especially with the kids. And it's not that it's necessarily scary for them, but my goodness, they're kids, and I want them to have as much normalcy as they can. So when we're in close contact with outside, like, their parents and stuff, yes, definitely masked. But and when we're outside, and that's more for our neighbors to show them that we are following protocol. But inside the classroom, I can honestly say that we're not necessarily always wearing masks. Yeah, but other than that, the teachers, all grades, have 2 Zoom meetings at 30 minutes most a week, and then everybody is welcome to join our chapel. So 3 Zoom meetings a week for our preschoolers, and we feel that that is plenty of time with them, because the reality is hopefully we're not in this platform for that long. It's been a great tool, but that there's just nothing that replaces that physical contact with those kids. So
one thing that scares some of us and scares some from even trying to open for emergency workers at all, essential employees, children, is what happens if someone comes down with it, one of your parents comes down with it.
yeah, no, it's a real scare. And when we talk about the safety protocols, I don't know if you can see, but we now wear scrubs. We're not nurses, we're not doctors, but we actually went ahead and uniformed all of our staff. And that's so that when we get home, I do no different than a doctor or a nurse. I go in the backyard, I take off my shoes outside, I spray them down, I spray my body down with sanitizer. And then I step into my laundry room and I completely take off all of my clothes. I wash them and then put my robe on, and then I go take a shower before resuming with my family. So no, there's definitely heightened safety precautions. But at some point, with those types of worries, you gotta lay them at Jesus's feet. Because yes, that is the truth. That can happen, and we'll hit that bridge when if God, hope not, but if we have to, then that's when we will deal with that. But we've been open, like I said, since April 1st, and I'm with the same families, and no one has come down with any illnesses or sicknesses. Thank you, God, for sheltering us, but we'll just come to that if that happens. But like I said, our parents are scared and are fearful, and so just as much as we guide the kids, we try to guide our parents too. And so we're very positive in the protocols that we have set, and just doing our best.
Can I add a few things to that?
Yeah.
I just want to add some things that Candace said. So we've been open from the start. We have never closed. We're running at about 55 to 60%. We still have 35 kids in care. In Minnesota, you can care for not just essential workers, but non-essential, but 32 of my 35 are tier 1 essential. Some things that I was going to add to that, like Candace said, a cleaning sheet, we just laminated it and do the check off as often as possible. Minnesota has been fantastic about the guidelines from the Minnesota Department of Health. So as far as worrying about what happens if one of your parents contact it or one of your children contact it, any one of you are going to have to be in contact with your own state Department of Health, and they will guide you as to what that contact was, if it was contact to contact, if it was outside contact, like if the parent had contact with somebody that has COVID. And so your state department will be really, really helpful in that. I like what Candace said about like sanitizing herself and everything. However, in Minnesota, there is a huge shortage of cleaning supplies, hand sanitizer, wipes. It is almost impossible to come by here. There are some entities now that are mass producing it, and childcare is one of the essentials that is going to be getting it. But I just got my first hand sanitizer and we've been open the entire time. So we have to use things extremely sparingly and pick and choose our battles as to when and what we are going to clean. One thing that is, so we have every room open just as usual. Instead of 18 staff here a day, I still have 10 staff here a day. Our county just recently, last week, had 2 COVID cases. We have 88 cases today. So we are a hot spot right now. So we are escalating all of our cleaning kind of to the level of where Candace is already at. One of the things that we have stopped doing is parents picking up and taking things home, or even us bagging it up. We figure bringing things in and out of the building at any given point is not a good thing. One thing in the baby room that we started that's been very helpful is called a mouth bucket. Every time somebody puts something in their mouth, it goes right into that bucket so that another baby doesn't pick it up. We still have 4 infants. We have 14 toddlers. I'm not sure the differential between the preschool and the pre-K room, but unfortunately, we've got to pick and choose our battles. When we're also filming a virtual tour, and one of the things that I'm trying to do is not put the COVID in it, because I want things to be as normal as possible for these kids. They have so many fears and anxieties already. They don't understand why all their friends aren't here. We've got some of our outside friends who haven't been here since March 12th, who are Skyping with our inside friends that are still coming to us every day. And I'm finding that the further we get into this and the harder it is, the mental health issues of our 3 and 4-year-olds are going to be huge. And so our teachers, when they're changing babies, are masking because that's closer face-to-face contact. But my infant teachers cannot wear a mask all day long.
Chris, can I ask you what criteria did you use to do your tour? Like, you know, or Jordan, like what are some points that you definitely made sure to hit? Because I know you're saying, you know, not necessarily about COVID, it's about the school. So like, how did you get started in even creating a virtual tour?
One of the things that I did that was really fun is we did a time-lapse video outside, and that worked really good. So mine isn't put together yet. Mine is still all in pieces because this was just something we last week when all of a sudden we knew that, you know, we heard that this was going to be a hot spot, that we have a turkey manufacturing plant in town, and we had heard that it come. I have actually enrolled 5 new children in the last week and a half also, because we've got people, family providers who are stepping out and are done. But one thing that we did a time-lapse video, and Jordan, I apologize, I tried to get on yours today too, and I couldn't get in because I wanted to use it, not gonna lie. I was gonna copy whatever you had.
I'll look into that, so thank you, but yeah.
But we did a time-lapse video outside just of the teachers playing bubbles with the kids, and it is so cool to look at. And I think that parents right now, yes, they want to know about what you're doing for precautions. For me, anyway, I didn't feel like that should go into our virtual tour video because I wanted people to see what life is like here for their child in a fun, energetic, kind, compassionate, loving, caring way. I will have a separate sheet that says, this is how we take precautions. Personally, for our center, I didn't feel like it should be part of the virtual tour. And that may change as we're in the hot spot now.
So is there a time length that a video should be or shouldn't extend to?
Good question. I'm actually thinking of putting the COVID stuff into something just to get people's attention, because I know how to edit video, and it's easy to take that out and just put the other content in. It's not really that difficult. And I think Jordan mentioned using iMovie. That's the same, similar to what I use in Final Cut Pro. And it's literally child's play to edit things out. So you could make a COVID version of it and then an ongoing version of it. But I like the point about making, showing what you want people to see that's a part of your center. Don't just make it all COVID, but say, this is where we're going. This is the environment. This is the family that we're inviting you to be a part of, and giving them a vision of what you want them to see about what's best in your place. I like Jordan's mix of the pre-COVID professionally done videos, plus talking with parents now and talking with teachers now, and then showing the classrooms, even though they're empty. People need to see that. And I promise you, people, especially from hotspots, people are going to want to know, what are you doing to keep my child safe? Is it okay to bring my kids back? That message needs to be on there for a little while, but not permanent, certainly. Make it a short-term video, and then repurpose the material, use other things in there. It's not that hard, as long as you're going to go to the trouble. So we've talked a little bit about the tools that you can use. iMovie is great. There are some inexpensive video editing suites. Vegas is one that I promote for people. If you're a Mac person, Final Cut Pro is honestly not that expensive. I wish it were a PC platform also. I actually learned to edit on Adobe Premiere Pro. That's an ongoing subscription, and that's really kind of tough to get your head around. I wanted to talk about sound. Make sure that you have good sound in your video. That's one of my challenges still. I've got I can make sure my part is right, but I'm trusting other people to edit the sound, and they're constantly messing that up. That is one of my pet peeves right now. If you want to put music under your video, you need to make sure that you have copyright permissions to do that. I just today learned about a program called Epidemic Epidemic Sound, sorry. And that has built into it links for Facebook and Zoom, so that Facebook and Zoom realize that you're not grabbing hold of somebody else's content, because that's all automated now the way they check. If you're going to post on Facebook, you'll likely have it pulled down if there's anything that even could be commercially available audio, and that gets messy. YouTube is a little more friendly. They will flag something, but they probably won't pull it down. I use something called audio blocks, and that's a great source of commercial music that you want to put underneath a video. But I've had people challenge the copyrights on that, and I've had YouTube block it even a couple times, even though I have a license to use the music. So I'm inviting people to look at Epidemic Sound as a way to get around that.
You can also, if you put your copyright license number, just shine that on the video, even for a second, because when in our church, when our praise band has done those compilation videos, and we make sure to do our copyright license number before the video opens, and that has stopped us from getting those emails saying that we're violating.
With everybody online now, YouTube has quit actually having people check things. It's all automated. And so it's listening for something that sounds pre-recorded, and then it will identify it and then flag it. So they're not even looking for that stuff. It's going to be a problem for a while, I think. So I'm looking at the chats, and I'm sorry we got off topic a little bit, but I wanted people to think about how they open and what process they're going to use to get back open, and how these virtual tours can be a part of that. And I have to admit that the question I was asking about how do you stay open and what process do you use, that was a little bit selfish on my part, because we're sweating that, and I know a bunch of other people are too. And I think I will be including some of that in a virtual tour, just at least the initial one, so that we can get people's attention and assure them that we're taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. So are there other specific questions that people would have that they want to pop in on this? We're coming up past 11:45, 11:48 now.
Yeah, I have a
Someone had
question.
asked a question about the time length, and nobody answered that. I'm very interested in that one as well. What's a good length of time for these videos to be?
A gold amount of time is 6 minutes for a video. That'd be a maximum. But for a virtual tour like Jordan's, that was quite long. That was nearly an hour. I can't remember the time exactly.
I think it was just over 35 minutes.
Okay.
So, but that, it was, yeah, like you said, the videos themselves are shorter, but then we had conversation and, a little presentation as well. I wouldn't have made it much longer than that. I think we would have lost people.
Right.
I have a question as well. Is the idea that virtual tours may continue beyond opening, so that people that aren't enrolled are not coming into our program and possibly, spreading infection, that this is how people will enroll even when we are open until we feel it's safe?
I think that's my concern, that people are going to be hesitant about coming into a strange facility. And I'm finding that even for my older people, this has opened up lots of possibilities that they hadn't really considered before, that they're able to connect in a way virtually that they hadn't before. It's changing how our people are thinking about church and I think school. So
well, I know for us, I'm horrible at saying no. So anytime a parent called in and said, hey, can I come take a tour of your school? I was spending, well, we were open for tours every single day. And then we, said, okay, only from this time to this time. Because, I would never want to say no to a potential, family coming in. And so we were like, okay, we got to control these tours somehow, some way. And that's why we were actually excited about virtual tour. We were even thinking about it, but had no clue of how to approach it. So as Lawrence said, I think there's endless possibilities with these virtual tours, not just during COVID, but just for, putting it in your calendar.
And it can be a first look, kind of a teaser also to the school. And then you would have built into that an invitation to make an appointment for an actual tour. We, at our school, schedule them once a week. And during the heavy season, twice a week. And my principals Tuesdays, especially Tuesday mornings, that's tour time. That's what they do. And sometimes we'll have other tours by arrangement, special arrangement. But otherwise, like you say, it's just a never-ending constant drain on your schedule. It's hard to get anything done.
I'm just thinking of letting parents of currently enrolled families know that people touring, I would be hesitant as a parent wanting to know that my child could be in a classroom with strange people coming in to tour, and possibly spreading things. And then these are things I think that our local governments are wanting us, I guess that's the tracing and just knowing where people have been. If we start bringing people into tour, even when we open, that it just seems like maybe the virtual tour is something to think about to stick around for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. We just think about it in terms of infecting ourselves and our kids and so on, but other people coming in, I hadn't really thought about that. It's 11:52, and I actually have a noon Zoom that I have to lead also for my own congregation. We're doing a Wednesday check-in with church members. And those are interesting. Today we're having show and tell. So I'm stealing ideas from my wife's preschool Zoom calls. So any other last questions as we tie this up? And I'm going to be really, really mean and say, Jordan has been so gracious and kind, and I bet she'd be open to a few people who are asking questions directly of her. Maybe you could put together just a basic list of the process that you go through for Zoom meetings and webinars, sorry. And you'll find, Jordan, that, and I know you're new to this whole process and new to the ELEA, but we try to support each other and care for each other and get to know each other. I love going to the ELEA conventions, even if they're not in Las Vegas and instead in Minnesota. What was up with that?
Okay. Well, thank you. And yes, I'm happy to answer any questions. I can actually type my email address in the chat box if you guys want to contact me directly. I'd actually appreciate it too if you have had issues with the getting in to the tour, if you could just shoot me an email so I can kind of try to figure out, like, I can see some people have been able to get in and others haven't, so I'm just tracking that down. But yeah, please feel free to email me any questions, and I'm more than happy to chat, or take questions now too, but that's another option for you as well.
Okay, well, I apologize. I think we could go on for quite some time still on this, but honestly, the main points that I would want to cover, if you just take a look at Jordan's video, again, that is such a gift to our schools and churches, just to give us a sense of what somebody who's got some time to think about these things and looks like some expertise too put into it. Totally impressed and totally a fan.
Is
So-
this is this Zoom call being recorded so that we
Yeah.
can share it later?
Yes, it is.
So how do we get it? We want to share it with,
On the eleanational.org webpage, they have a COVID-19 resource section, and Corey said she would post it there.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, well, I am afraid I have to go, and I'm going to draw this meeting to a close. Lord's blessings on all of you, and may you find encouragement and hope and joy in the things that you do. You are serving God's people and doing amazing things. Lives are being touched and people are being ministered to, and we can only just imagine. So thank you all for your work and your efforts, and look forward to seeing you again sometime. So we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I know.
Bye.